So we are on the island. We're just taking a break. So this is my tour bus. So this place, guys, I'm inside the island.
Welcome to the symbol of segregation, a symbol of repression, a symbol of torture. But at the very same time, it's a symbol of the triumphant of human spirit against adversity. We can count so many losses, but at the very same time, we can count so many victories. What you see in my hand, and when I introduce myself as a number. This is what you get when you get into the Roben Island. You get a number, you forget your name, you are being graded. And the grade that you are getting determines the food that you are going to get, the kind of diet that you are going to get. It determines how many visits are you going to get, it determines how many letters are you going to get. This is just a replica of a card that you receive of billionaire. A Roben Island of the Zintrong and the initial stages of Roben Island. You get this card according to your race. You get sandals, that is colored Indians and Asians. Sandals, long sleeve. But those who are referred to as Bantu, they go barefooted, short sleeve, trouser. You know what can follow. Symbol of segregation. You are segregated in as far as the color of your skin, your language, and also the diet that you are getting. This is a diet that was given to the racial groupings of Roben Island. People referred to as Bantu, that is the black Nguni tribe, they receive this kind of meal, and those of other color, they receive this kind of meal. It's not only a kind of meal, it's also its weight, because certain kilograms need not to exceed. Symbol of repression, torture. I indicated that you are graded, and your grade will determine the visits that you get, the letters that you get. You qualify for 1 letter per month, which is 12 letters per year. You receive 1 visit per month, 30 minutes. In a booth, you speak through a telephone, which is monitored up until it ends. Should you use an undesirable according to the authorities, the definition I'll get into it, they cut the visit, even if it's 5 minutes. And your parents or your loved ones are going to be referred back home. On top of that, you receive punishment. You receive letters, but the letters, if you use an undesirable language, the letters are going to be censored. The undesirable language can mean if you use Xhosa while you're supposed to use English or Afrikaans, that letter is going to be cut. You can imagine writing a letter to your loved one or your mom or your dad. You only receive a letter that comes from your mom, a salutation, and the rest of the body of the letter is not there, and you receive the tail. That's psychological. You break down immediately. You even break down, not only you yourself, your parents break down when they receive a similar letter. You even break down, not only you, also your parents, when you talk to them in a visit that is supposed to be 30 minutes and it's cut in 5 minutes and they are turned back because when they return, they ask themselves, what the hell is going on? No explanation, is just they've used an undesirable language. An undesirable language means if the warder that is monitoring the visit doesn't understand the language that you are using. So you have to use Afrikaans or English. What you see here is a welcoming into Roben Island, which is a common practice to other jails also. Because not only this jail was holding political prisoners, there's a number of jails in the country that hold political prisoners. You receive this mat, which is a mat to sleep on, these 2 mats to sleep on with 3 blankets. 1 blanket you use as a sheet, 1 blanket you use as your pillow, and 1 blanket you use to cover your body. But because of the consistent and the persistent fights that these prisoners had against the authorities, this was a victory thereof. But nevertheless, the victory, you cannot really take it as a victory as such, but more of a humanitarian kind of a victory. The very same effect that this had, that bed had too. Piles aching back. The board behind you, my brother, represents the clear repressive method that the system has used, because there were people who died in this island. And after they died, they are being buried mysteriously in different cemeteries in the country, particularly in Cape Town. Your Stickland Cemetery, your Belleville Cemetery. Comrades from Swapo who died here were buried in Langa and in Gugulethu. Some of their grave sites have been identified, some not. My last part of segregation, this section was solely used for the guerrillas of Swapo and the political prisoners of Namibia, because Namibia at the time was colonized by South Africa. And they left between 85 and 86, the last remaining 8. Very shortly, I'll give you to interact with me in a few minutes, then we move to Mandela set. I give you my number, 48, 46, 45/86. My name is Kumulang Lebulu, popularly known as Castro. Sentenced to 18 years at the age of 16 and arrived here at the age of 17. Released when the first group of political prisoners in the country were released. Charged for possession, for sabotage, in possession of explosive, in possession of illegal material of a banned organization, and furthering the aims of a banned organization. This is who I am. I'm taking the number away. Questions, ladies and gentlemen?
What is the maximum prison population?
The maximum prisons population throughout, it was varying from one epoch to the other. Remember in the 60s, it was a massive group of people who were arrested and put into this place. But as time goes on, it goes down and it goes up, but the maximum that I can give you is 3,760 some odd. Yes. Question.
How many people would be in this building?
It varies from intake, ma'am. Sometimes you are reduced to about 30, sometimes it goes to 50, sometimes it goes to 60, depending how many people that they capture outside in the country to bring here. Questions?
Outside your release date, what other happy memory do you have from the time here?
Ma'am, to be honest with you, I only remember the sad moments. The only happy moments that I could tell you is that the place managed to make me who I am today. It managed to make me a human. It managed to make me a person who is tolerant. It managed to make me a person who humbles himself to any kind of a situation. It managed to make me to listen. It managed to make me to debate an issue more than using physics. That's what I can say. Those are the memorable moments that I can share. But in general, I'm standing here in front of you today because I'm trying to heal. From the wounds and the scars, not only of this place, but how the system has treated us, that have robbed me of my youthfulness. That is why we are proudly standing here and sharing the story and the narrative of this place. We might share it with pride, but we are broken inside. I must share this also. When I arrived at this place, as much as the enemy was broken, but they always fight. When I arrived at this place, I had a co-accused, a mysterious co-accused who was shackled with me. To find out this co-accused of mine is a policeman who was dispatched to the island to come and rape us. And when he arrives here, he said, we were sentenced together. As young as I was, I break down. I lost my psychological stability, and I was held at the psychiatric cells for a period of about a year or so. But through the grace of God, that particular individual was discovered through our lawyers and everybody and the advocates that this is a police spy. This is the payroll of the intelligence of the police at the time. Through the strength that I have and the support of my colleagues, I managed to bring the pieces together, and here I am. Any other question?
Did you ever meet any of the warders or guards once you were released?
Many of them. One of them was here yesterday.
Oh, really?
One of them was here yesterday leading a tour with their families and their sons, which we also so wish we can have that privilege as former inmates of this place, where we can have our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, and our family members, our beloved ones, to take them through this prison. But unfortunately, we don't have that privilege to do so.
Why?
It depends on you, sir. It depends on you. The pressure that you put in the apartheid system during the time is the same pressure that you can put in the government that we have today in order to recognize those who are here, to be recognized as the custodians of this place, so that they have a full right to bring their loved ones into this place and do the same what the others are doing. I want to cut some other things very short. My last words to you before we go to the Mandela section is to say the following. We recognize the support that many of you have given. Some of you might not have been born at the time. Some of you might have had relatives who were people of South Africa who were struggling. Some of you might have been from the international world, might have been relatives of those of the International Red Cross Committee. Some of you might have been part of Black Sash and the other, pressure groups who have put pressure on the apartheid system to give us our freedom. We want to extend a hand of gratitude to all of you. Because if it wasn't your support, we couldn't have been standing here and talking proudly about our experiences today. I think it is necessary to extend that hand of gratitude to all of you before we go to the Mandela section. I thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the section. This is a section which the former president of this country shared 18 years of his time. May his soul rest in peace. The picture that I'm standing behind, you depict the activities that were happening in this cell during this section during the time. Remember, this section was not only Mandela alone. It was Mandela and different leaders of different ideological persuasions and different political parties. Leaders of the PAC, Kibla, ANC, Azapo, BCM, all those who were fighting for freedom in South Africa, those who have been incarcerated, their leaders were held here as regarded dangerous, and therefore they were kept in this. During the time of building this prison, they were kept here because they didn't want them to mix with other prisoners. This picture, you depict the activity that they were doing at the time. While the others are at the quarry, they were given quarters of stones for the day to crush. So they were sitting in this fashion, how they were sitting. They were not allowed to talk to each other for the rest of the day, crushing those stones. So you've got a quota to crush stones for the day. This is a section where the transcripts of the book, Long Walk to Freedom, was smuggled out of this section. I'm gonna take you to the cell where Madiba used to be. It's at your right hand side, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. It's where he served his 18 years, together with others. There it's what I've demonstrated there, that is the mats and the blankets that they were using to sleep on, kind of plates they used, and also a bucket that they used to relieve themselves. Yeah, no. Second yeah, but it's anyway. And a bucket that they use to relieve themselves. Now you can imagine the inhumane. No, in the morning they have to take that bucket and throw it away, clean it, and bring it back to their cell. That is the kind of life that they were. Let's go and see the Mandela cell, and you can take photos as much as you can. I'll guide you through the way out. But nevertheless, thank you for the time that you've given us to listen to us. Thank you for the time to to visit Nelson Mandela's cell, the prison where Nelson Mandela was held, the prison where most of us were held. And thank you for those who are repeating to come. Bring your sons and your daughters so they can have this narrative. Because at the end of the day, what we want you to learn about this place, it's what we have endured, what we have gone through. But nevertheless, we've become bigger than what have happened. Now we want to learn to teach a lesson to the human race that peace is the only thing that we can solve our human conflicts that are happening in the world. War will never resolve any, or conflict will never solve any misunderstanding in the world. Because today we've served most of our time here and we've gone out there and forgiven those who have done so many gruesome things to us. That should be the message that you must impart to these young ones so that tomorrow they can build a better world. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.